His plight is undoubtedly guilty. No one could successfully argue his innocence. But I'm glad today that the Bible informs me that Jesus didn't come for the innocent, but he came for the guilty. Do I have any guilty people in the house? If you was ashamed to wave your hand, the Bible had already identified you. All have sinned and come short of the glory of God. Tell your neighbor, I'm guilty. They don't have the videotape or the evidence, but I'm guilty. They don't have my text messages, but I'm guilty. They don't have the newspaper, but I'm guilty. They don't have the internet, but I'm guilty. Amen. But I'm so glad that he came not for the innocent, but he came for the guilty. He came for the sick, the downcast, the brokenhearted, the lost, and the infamous. He came for those that have been disfranchised and not important to the religious leaders of the day. He came to lift them up from a broken status. When everybody else turned their back on the ones that Jesus came for, he found himself hanging out. He didn't find himself hanging out with deacons. Do I got a witness in here? He didn't find himself hanging out with preachers. Do I have a witness in here? He didn't find himself hanging out with choir members and trustees and all these other boards and auxiliaries that we have in the Baptist church. But the Bible tells me in the Luke chapter that he found himself hanging with publicans. And it was crazy to me that church folks got mad that Jesus was hanging out with sinners. It seemed to me that he came to die for the sins of the world, but yet the church folk, somebody ought to help me in here. I said the church folk got mad with Jesus because he was hanging out with some prostitutes. He was hanging out with some drug pushers. He was hanging out with some gangbangers. Come on, help me somebody. He was hanging out with some of you and I. Truth to the matter, some of us still are what we used to be. We was using the church for a hang